Hi there, my name is Kelly Mace and I'm the marketing manager for Smithers OASIS.
And I'm Loann Burke, and I'm a design director for Smithers OASIS, and I'm also an event specialist with First the Florist in Dayton, Ohio.
We'd like to welcome you today to our latest installment of OASIS University. We're going to be talking today about how to get ready for the holidays, and specifically how to get ready for the holidays with OASIS Midnight Floral Foam. So we're super excited that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. Loann has some great design ideas and things that'll really help you make your holidays go flawlessly with this great product.
I am so excited that Midnight Floral Foam is back. I cannot tell you how many times over the last, I don't know how long, I said, oh my gosh, I wish I had my Midnight Floral Foam. So I could not be more excited that it's back.
Right. One of the great things about with the Midnight coming back is it's now available in 48 brick cartons and also 24 brick cartons. So the regular bricks, take a look at your local wholesalers, and they should have those available for you. And again, we're no longer doing the 36 brick, but we are doing the 48 and the 24. And we have an array of other sizes too and shapes, everything from the mache items to event blocks, all sorts of different items. So you can go on our website too and take a look at all of the different varieties of shapes and sizes that are available.
And so now when you go to your local wholesaler, for a limited time, you'll actually find a roll of midnight tape, which I'm very excited about. So that'll come on just selected packages. So be sure you check that out. The tape is wonderful. So if you're ever taping anything into a container and you have to go, tape that in, that Midnight Floral Foam is the perfect color. The Midnight Tape is the perfect color just to tape that container or tape that foam into the container. So I'm really excited. We've got the Midnight Tape as well.
Right. And that's the 1/4 inch and the 1/2 inch. And that's great. So so definitely take a look for those special packages. And again, this is also sold separately too. So you want to stock up on that as well for the holidays.
So lots and lots of reasons why I love the Midnight Floral Foam, and primarily as an event designer, that's when we first started using the floral foam, and it's just so much easier to cover. It takes less product to cover. It gives you a unique depth in the design. It just disappears in the design, so it's a whole lot easier to use.
Right, absolutely. And one of the other great things about it too is that it has the same attributes as our premium OASIS Floral Foam. Or Max Life, and that's great too. So all those great attributes, and it comes in standard or deluxe. So that's great too. So you're very familiar with how it feels and how it works. And I think
it's just like the green foam, except it is black, so a little bit easier to use. And the fact that it is Max Life Floral Foam, it actually has some attributes that help your flowers last longer. Right. And the other thing that's very cool about it is that it does degrade. So it will completely degrade a little more than a year. Very excited about that.
Yes,
OASIS has worked really hard to make sure that happens. So we're excited about that as well.
Right. And another great new product idea too is that, not product idea, but it's actually the same price now too.
Yes.
So same price as the Max Life foams.
Yes.
So that's exciting news as well.
So, interchangeable. If you haven't tried it, I really encourage you to give it a try. I'm going to show you some great ideas as far as what you can do with it and why I really love it, not just for event design, but for everyday design and holiday design as well.
Right, absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and get started, I think, and we're going to talk a little bit about the ways that you're foaming your containers.
Yeah.
So let's take a look and see how you have foamed and some different, tips on how to do that.
So when I first started designing, of course, many of you are probably the same way. We were told to put the floral foam over the lip of the container, but I found over the years that we really don't need to do that. So some of these are designed with it actually below the lip of the container, right at the lip of the container, or even just above the lip of the container. But there's no need to waste foam just because that's the way we've always done it. Really consider the design that you're using. So in this pot, I've actually done it just below the lip of the container. When we might use that below the lip when we're doing something that's more of a vertical design style, where we don't need a drape Or if we're using a foliage or a a plant material that's actually going to have its own natural drape, we don't have to have the foam above the lip of the container. This one is right at the lip of the container. This is great if you're doing any pave designs. You'll see a Valentine's Day design coming up that the foam is just right at the lip of the planter dish that I use.
Right.
And then in this designer planter, it's actually a little bit below the lip of the container on one side, but it's exposed on the other side. So I'll be doing a Valentine's Day design in that as well.
Right.
But then you can also do it in more of a decorative or architectural way. So another one of our design directors, Donald Yim, he is the king of Midnight Floral Foam, the master. So you can use it more of in a decorative way. So what I've done with this, I have one piece of floral foam that's just flat with the container, and then I've crumbled up the rest of the Midnight Floral Foam around the edge, so it almost looks like rocks or chunks of coal at Christmas time.
It's very cool.
So I don't need to, this might be a design that would have very, very minimal product, and we might want to show off the floral foam. We're going to use it in a pretty as an everyday mechanic, but be sure to check out, Donald has some wonderful videos.
He does.
You can check out some more decorative ways to use the Midnight Floral Foam.
Right, and you can find that all on our website at oasisfloralproducts.com too.
Okay. So we're going to get started with, well, let me just tell you one other attribute of the Midnight Floral Foam if you haven't used it. It actually starts out this charcoal gray color, and then when you float soak it in water that has properly mixed flower food, that's another thing that some people actually believe that there's flower food in the foam. There is not. There are some things that help your flowers last longer, but your flowers need the flower food, so make sure you float soak that in a container with properly mixed flower food water, and just let that float soak and sink on its own so we can avoid any dry spots in the foam.
Right, and I think it's great too, because if you send this to a customer and the foam starts to go a little gray, goes back to that gray instead of that rich black, then that's a clear indication that you can go ahead and rewater your foam. So that's just helping have those flowers last even longer.
Right, that's something you can definitely tell your customers. Just hey, check, and if that starts to become a little gray, that's an indication. Just add some more water.
Right.
So we'll set this aside for another design. I'll move this off here. And then I'm going to get started with the design. This is a rectangle planter, and I'm going to use this. I've got some faux birch logs that are just tied together. And I'm going to leave those right as is. I'm not going to anchor them in with anything except the flowers that I'm using. So this container, this rectangle planter, has one full brick of the Midnight Foam, and I've already saturated that in flower food water, and that just sets right down in. It's very secure. I'm going to place these just at a nice angle, maybe spread those out a little bit. And then I'm going to start with, typically when we're doing holiday design, we might start with a lot of our evergreens first and just do a really bold evergreen base. But the beautiful thing about the Midnight Floral Foam is when you're designing with evergreens, which are more needle based and fine, and it takes a lot of product to cover your foam, you find that you don't need that as much, and you can actually use less of the evergreen than you would normally, say with the green foam. So I'm going to start with some of my more softer stem flowers. I've got some ranunculus. I'm just going to let that just stand up a little bit, and I'm adding these in now, and I'm going to add those in right through some of the faux logs, and just so they're locking that in place. That one thing, if you ever insert into the foam and then you want to reposition the flower, take it out, give it a fresh cut, and then you can reinsert that. So I didn't like the way that was looking, so I just changed that up a little bit. I'm going to add some other flowers to it. So at what point am I going to start to add my evergreen? Probably in a few flowers.
All right.
So I'm going to still lock in some of these mini Gerber daisies and just create sort of a long and low centerpiece. And we'll do a little bit. I'm going to establish my line here. And I've got some white stock I'm adding, and I'm just going to let that kind of trail off either side. This would be like a long and low design with the birch logs just accenting in the center.
And great for a holiday centerpiece or on a mantle.
Yeah, this would be wonderful for a long table
Yep.
centerpiece. Always know where your design is going to be placed so you
Yep.
can design accordingly. Now, at this point in time, I've got all my white flowers in. I'm going to just throw these down under here.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm going to start to add a little bit of my evergreen. So I've got some Leland cypress I'm going to add. I'm just going to add that trailing out to the side. Little piece in the center. And already, and Kelly, you can attest to this,
Yes.
already when you look down in there, that foam is virtually gone.
It
You
really is.
don't even see it, and I hardly have anything in it.
Right.
So I've got some
So
pine.
we'll take some nice close-ups of these too. So when we send the email afterwards, we'll show you some nice close-ups of how you can really how it just disappears.
So there's some Carolina sapphire. I've got some really nice drapes.
It's beautiful.
Give that a sharp cut. And we'll just let that drape out the other side. And then a couple other pieces that I'm going right through where that bundle of faux birch logs are. And then it's just locking that in place. So I'll add just a few more bits of evergreen. And really, the Midnight Floral Foam works really well with today's lighter, airier design styles. And you can still green your containers in advance with the evergreen, but I would suggest when you're using the Midnight Foam, use a bit less than you normally would. So I'll add in a couple pieces. I've got some cedar, we'll add that in, and then we'll start to add in some red. So really easy.
And even here, this is kind of a winter wonderland right here.
Yeah.
You know?
It is. We'll turn this around too so you can
Yeah.
see what we're seeing and I can see what you're seeing. Oh, let's leave it just like that. Okay, so I'm gonna add in a bit of red. And I really, at this point, would not have to add in any more greenery. Maybe just a touch, but not a lot at all, which is far less than when you're doing a traditional Christmas centerpiece. So I'm just very excited that this is here. So did we talk about boxwood trees?
We did not. So a lot of questions that we get is, how to make a boxwood tree, and Midnight Foam is perfect for that.
So if you are familiar with making a boxwood tree, product intense and time consuming.
Right.
So when Midnight Floral Foam came out, I was just absolutely thrilled because I did not have to use as much of the boxwood material to cover the foam. Those holes that you see when you're creating your boxwood tree just disappear. So very excited to have the Midnight Foam back for boxwoods this year. So we'll add just a few more.
Right.
pieces.
So we'll after this program today, we'll send a follow-up email and we will send you a how-to on how to make that boxwood tree. So you can kind of see where it starts and a finished design. And they're beautiful for the holidays, last long, and super easy, especially with the Midnight Foam.
So we'll turn this back around.
Yeah.
It's beautiful on both sides.
Beautiful.
So one, because this container is low and rectangular, and the fact that that foam is below the lip of the container, and because we're using Midnight Foam, I haven't used nearly as much product as I have set aside for it. I am going to add in just a little bit of the leucadendron just for added texture. We'll just cut that off and add that in, give it a little bit right there in the middle, and maybe one more piece. We'll turn it around again. I might go, maybe not. We'll go back here. We'll turn this around this way. And then just another natural touch, I have some pine cones that we'll add in, again, right through those birch logs, and just add in another texture there. And then, for one last piece, just to give it a little bit of a drape, I've got some pepperberry. And I love pepperberry at the holidays. So we'll just add this in sort of right down through the center and then just let that drape over the front of the design. So you just have a little touch of that pepperberry in there. We'll do one more piece and then I think we'll call this one done. So you can see how easy it is, how much less product you use, and not even half of what I intended to use.
Right.
So we'll get this cleaned up and out of the way.
Yep, beautiful, Loann. Gorgeous.
Move that right over there. Okay. So I have another design that's a little bit different style. And we'll show you that.
careful not to drop the bulb here.
So this is in the designer ellipse vase, and I have 2/3 of a brick of foam. I've trimmed the bottom of that, so it's just a friction fit right down in there. If you wanted to secure it more, you could use the midnight foam or midnight tape over the top of that, but this one is just a friction fit, so it's wedged right in there. And then I wanted to take advantage of just this negative space in the design. This is all designed in 3s. So I've got 3 of the Safari Sunset, I've got 3 ranunculus, 3 stock, 3 roses, 3 hypericum. Really easy design mix. The way I started this was with my line, and then I added the Leland cypress for my line, and it was so easy to just, you don't even really see any foam. If you looked at the back,
Right.
I mean, you'd really have to look to see exposed foam in that. Very easy to do, just a little bit different design style, and then a nice nest for that ornament that's right sitting on top.
Right, and I can see this in an entryway.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it at a corporate party. I can see it
Yeah.
at a receptionist desk.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So a little bit alternate design style than your traditional. So don't be afraid to show some of these things for holidays, and make sure that you use that midnight foam as a base, and that's going to make everything go a lot easier.
And last longer too.
And last longer too.
Right.
So
Yes.
let's move this. I've got one little
We're going to
little
move
piece.
the granddaddy up.
Move this one over here.
All right.
And then we'll pull this little piece that I've done. I'm going to show you
Just
the
a little
back of
piece.
it. We'll show you the back of it first. Oh, because I want to show you the mechanics. So this is actually designed in a triple brick tray. It holds 3 full bricks.
Here, gotcha.
There you go. You got it.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Of the midnight floral foam. So each of those bricks holds about 2 quarts of water. And 2 quarts of water is a half a gallon, and a half a gallon weighs about 4 pounds. So 3 times 4 is 12, plus the flowers. So this has a little weight to it. Okay.
Yes.
So I want to turn it around and show you the front side of this. So I love the triple brick trays. They're black to begin with. I love the triple brick trays with the midnight floral foam. And if you got up really close to this design, you would see, if you looked really hard, some spaces that
Covered.
where you actually see the midnight floral foam through there. But it's not so much that it is an intentional use. It's actually when you stop seeing the foam, you can stop covering the foam. You'd have to really get in there and really look to find it.
Right.
So it's a very lighter, again, airier design, lots of product material in here. I've actually combined some permanent berries
Yeah.
with some of the natural, the seeded eucalyptus, some of the grevillea foliage, which gives us a great textural element. Really easy to cover. And so, yeah, triple brick trays are actually one of my favorite
Right.
and easy utility trays. Love those. Single brick, double brick, and triple brick.
Yes.
And the triple brick is perfect for mantles. Perfect for
Right.
mantles.
Yeah, this is a perfect.
Or long and low centerpieces.
Absolutely. And I think too, maybe when these flowers go down a little bit, you can replace these, and your greens are still going to be lovely. You can add in some, pine cones, or this can last a very long time.
Right. And by taking proper care of the flowers that we're using, we're going to have those flowers in properly mixed flower food water and stored properly, and making sure we soak our midnight foam in flower food water. This is going to hold up throughout the holidays. And just instruct your customers. When they have a long-lasting arrangement like this, and how long that evergreen lasts, and how long the flowers last before they have to remove those, then this is perfect, and your customers are happy, which is the biggest thing.
Yes, absolutely. If you have any questions on any of the things that we're doing here today, please put them in the Q&A area, and we'll be happy to try to get to those at the end of the session. But yeah, this is a beautiful design. I can definitely see this on my mantle when I get home.
So some of the other things, I don't know if we went over all of the things that are in here, but primarily the main floral features are the red roses and the Gerber daisies.
Yeah.
Everything else is just an accent. So there's plenty in here when those flowers do start to look less than
Right.
perfect, and you can just pluck those out and you still have that big full arrangement.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
So, okay,
Yes.
so we want to move this back here.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
All right.
There's another one of those ellipse vases.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the vases too.
Okay. So these are Eco-Essentials containers. So the other, you may get that? We'll put
It's a little.
And over your head.
And over my head.
And we'll put it here on our faux mantle.
Yes.
And love that
Beautiful.
drape.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. And even just like the midnight foam disappears, that midnight tray, we should call that a midnight tray, disappears too.
Yeah. Good idea.
So the other design, this design, these are Eco-Essentials containers. So this is the designer ellipse vase and the pot, and then we have the designer dish,
right,
and lots of wonderful, but the beautiful thing about the Eco-Essentials containers is they are made with
agricultural byproducts.
So think like plant materials, bamboo, that's the main component in these pots. So very sustainable, Eco-Essentials, think eco-friendly. So love the variety of containers that we have for this. And they're really easy to work with a third of a brick, a half of a grande brick.
Right.
So, and again, below, above, you decide based on your
so
design.
So versatile for the holidays too. I mean, they're just they're neutral colors and they're beautiful.
Okay.
Great.
So
all right.
We'll move these off. Keep that over right there.
All right.
So, do you want to, let's show the other design in the designer dish first.
This guy here?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So we're kind of transitioning into Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So as soon as that Christmas is over, we're on to Valentine's Day. I mean, like the day after.
Oh, actually, and even sometimes before.
Yeah.
So once your Christmas is winding down, you're already thinking ahead to Valentine's Day and yes. And
Getting
the
ready.
fun that is Valentine's Day. So what we're finding now is Valentine's Day, we have a lot of younger people who don't necessarily want the traditional color palette of red and white. So think about an alternate color palette as well as thinking about an alternate design style. So this is done in a designer dish and many sizes. You saw the other low, small dish.
Yep.
So this is done with, let's get this for foam. I just want to tell you how I foamed this. So I actually cut the foam in half lengthwise, this way, not this way, but this way. And it's a brick and a half, and they're just all pave level with the lip of the container.
Okay.
So I had floral foam all the way across there, which allowed me to do this design style, which is much more pave design style, and it gives you tons of visual interest, but you can actually do more vertical designing all the way to the edge of the container. So designs like this are fantastic. Holiday time, Valentine's Day time, we all have broken flowers. So put a few things in your design arsenal that are going to take advantage of those. Yeah, take advantage of those broken heads that you can just go ahead and immediately do a little pave design.
So much texture in here too.
So much texture.
So beautiful.
This is one of those designs that just invites you to kind of crawl through it.
You really do.
So let me tell you a little bit about what's in here and how I constructed it. So I'm starting with the base of the Midnight Floral Foam right at the lip of the container. And then I started with my hot pink roses. So I just started placing those and sort of layering those like little stepping stones, and started with my four main areas. And then I filled in with some of the spray roses and just tucked those down in. And then I added my groupings of, this is an Ilsa spray rose,
Beautiful.
And some of the coral hypericum berries, coral or peach hypericum. What really makes this is all the other textures and the contrasting textures that are in here. And you can do the same thing with your Christmas designs as well. Don't be bashful about adding in things like a rolled aspidistra leaf into your holiday designs in addition to your pine and your evergreen. So that's what I've done here. I went ahead and added some green trick. It's almost like mood moss down in the design, and that covers up a lot as well. If you, again, when you look in this design too, if you really look for it, you'd be able to see some of the midnight foam peeking through. That's not an intentional thing. It's just when you stop seeing it, I stop covering it. So if I lift it up right here, you'd be able to see a little bit of that midnight floral foam. And if you look through that parvifolia, you could see it as well. But I didn't see it anymore, and it just disappeared, so I stopped covering it.
Right.
This
I was
is
going to say, what is What is this?
This is Aussie pine.
It's so beautiful.
And right now, this time of year, it's got that little pink tip to it. Sometimes it'll have that little, or red Aussie pine will have that little red pinkish coral tip to it. So that gives us really good texture. So we've got that really sleek texture,
Right.
that really fine and soft texture, and then adding that gunny or sometimes parvifolia eucalyptus around the edge of that. And then the last thing I did on this design is take some loops of lily grass. So I've got sleek and shiny, fine needle, and think of designs like this for perhaps your younger customer or a customer who just doesn't want that traditional Valentine's Day, but that's going to be beautiful for coffee table, design, dining room table. They could
Beautiful.
put that absolutely anywhere.
Right, and then maybe we would finish it off with some finishing touch.
Yes.
You know, just
Yes.
we don't have any on the set here, but maybe
Yes.
just a little touch of finishing touch, and
Mhm.
it's good to go.
So this foam is soaked in flower food water. We stored our flowers in properly mixed flower food water. And the last thing we're going to do is a nice finishing spray, finishing touch. Finishing touch actually helps your flowers stay vibrant, makes them last longer as well. So I would definitely use finishing touch. This has a water source with the Midnight Floral Foam in there. So putting that last little finishing touch on it
Right,
before it goes out is another step to help the flowers last even longer. So
it's beautiful, beautiful. I hope you enjoy this design as much as I do. I think it's gorgeous.
yeah, Kelly says
Yeah.
it's going to look beautiful on her
It
table at
is
home.
with that on my mantle. It's going to be great.
Yeah, you'll
It'll
be
be at the
all ready.
holidays at my house.
We can stick some and alternate color palettes for Christmas as well.
Right.
It's not all red and green. So if you're thinking an alternate color palette and you just added some pine or some Carolina
bulbs or
sapphire or
something.
this would be really pretty with some hot pink or silver. Yeah.
Bulbs, yeah,
You could turn this into a Christmas holiday design really quickly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great. Well, thank you.
Very good.
All right. All right. So now you're gonna design for us a Valentine's Day design.
Yes. And I think I'm going to do, again, one of that more open and airy
Okay.
design style. I'm going to use this designer planter,
Very good.
but I love this elliptical shape of that where it's just visually interesting. So we're going to do a design style that you've probably seen a lot. It's not a new design style. It's actually very, very old. This is what we would call either a V-shaped design or an inverted triangle. So that's what I'm going to do. And I've got some
Okay.
flowers over here in this vase. We'll just pull over here.
All right.
This around.
There you go.
We're going to take these right out of the vase and I'll lay them here on the table. And then I'll get to play. So the big question again is, do you flower first or do you foliage first? And I say yes. It's whatever works. And with the Midnight Foam, you know, sometimes you saw me go ahead and place some flowers first, softer stem flowers.
Right.
And then with this design, I'm going to actually establish the shape with my flowers first before I add any greens. And all of the foliage that I'm using in this design are going to be a little bit lighter and delicate. So
Yeah.
I've got that grevillea, that Aussie pine, some of this gunny eucalyptus. And so I'm going to start with just a really open and airy design with my,
Definitely not your traditional Valentine's Day.
no.
No.
But we're still doing all the principles of design. We're
Yes,
still, even though it's
yes.
going to be a little lighter and airier.
Now I notice you're leaving some of your leaves on here.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm leaving some of those leaves on.
Okay.
So this is more of an organic look.
Okay.
But if I wanted to, let's say I'm putting this flower in here, I could actually use this leaf as part of my greening if I wanted to.
Oh. Okay.
So I could trim that off, or if I have one that's less than attractive, I could always trim it. But I'm going to leave this, the
Okay.
foliage on these.
Love
It's
it.
nice foliage.
Mhm.
So I've got some of my, and this is a little bit more traditional color palette, but it's less traditional in design style. It's actually right on trend with some design styles. Lots of depth, lots of,
These are beautiful red roses too.
and this is a challenger. This
A
is called
Challenger,
Challenger,
yes.
which is almost a deep ruby red
Yeah, it's
or
gorgeous.
almost to a burgundy, but not quite. And then there are some things that we can do with our roses, which even you can see it in this holiday piece, I've actually rolled back or rolled the petals or reflexed them back to open that rose just a little bit more so you can just increase the beauty of that. I'll show you how I did that with this one. So at room temperature, you can either reflex back the petals just by bending that back, just put your thumb there and bend that back, or you can roll the petals onto
Oh.
each other Have you seen that technique?
I have seen it, but not, I mean, I've seen it finished, but I've not seen it done
So I'm
live
actually
before.
I'm gonna do both.
Okay.
So I'm gonna reflex back those petals, and then we're gonna take the next section. I'm just gonna roll the petal over. The petals are still attached, so it's not hurting the petal at all. It's not hurting the rose at all. So I'm just gonna roll those petals back. I think I first learned this technique from Phil Relota.
Oh.
So
Shout out to Phil.
Shout out to Phil. Yeah. That's the beautiful thing about our industry and the floral industry is you pick up these techniques and you just share with each other, and so it's beautiful. So this is going to create a really low focal. I'm just going to do right in the base of that ellipse right there. Just create a really low focal. You kind of see that starting to take shape. And I've got one more red rose. We'll see about adding another V pattern.
Oh, I can see the
side.
line.
So we're just going to keep it nice and soft.
Love it. Very
I have some
trend.
Some lovely Lydia hot pink spray roses. We're just going to add those in low, and then we'll add some of these tall. You notice I just trimmed out the center, and then I'm going to try to trim off that little nub, and I'll have this part just floating off to the side. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So don't think I have to use the stem in its entirety. I'm going to actually take out the center.
Right. And
And we'll use that. And then we'll raise this up even taller. I'm going to trim out that little nub, and we'll raise this out taller on this side. It's very open, that, and it'll start to thin as it gets up toward the top, which is what I really love about this. Now on this one, if I can use individual spray roses.
right.
I can even trim all of those, use those for basing, and then maybe go out even farther on this side.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've got that really open, airy palette.
Beautiful.
What about the Midnight Foam at this point? Do you see it? I mean,
but you don't notice it.
you don't really even notice
it.
It really has already
Really.
disappeared in the design,
It has.
but we're going to add some more because
Right.
we can. So the Aussie Pine, we're going to add some of this just to give us a really nice continued shape. And it's a little stiffer. You can sort of manipulate it, but it's not going to handle manipulation like some steel or lily grass or something like that. We'll even have some of this trailing off to the side. That one's beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
We'll just have that just really nice side to side. And then got a little piece right here. Well, because this is an elliptical shape, I can actually have some that just insert right out of this front of that. And then if any of those original rose leaves give me fits, I could pull them off, but I'm going to leave it. And then to pick up on this gray color of the container, I'm going to choose some foliages that have sort of a gray color palette to them too. So I've got this is a gunny eucalyptus, and we're going to have some of that drape out of the front as well. So it's really nice, organic, soft design. So put a little more out this side.
So fresh looking. It just looks so modern.
And have this for a Valentine's Day arrangement. You'll find, go ahead and put these on your website, and you'll find lots of people are gravitating toward this more open and airy style. So we're actually gonna move him a little bit. I have some hypericum berries. We'll add in for some texture down low, right with our roses. And I haven't really added in anything that's more what we would consider a coverage foliage, like leatherleaf or salao or anything like that. So we're gonna add in. Insert way deep into the design to give me really nice depth. And I'm gonna add in this on this side. You could actually pull some of those hypericum berries out high if you wanted to do that.
For all of you that are following along, we're going to have, this is all recorded, so you can go ahead and watch it again at your convenience, at your leisure. And we have at the end a small quiz. So once you take the little quiz, we'll send you an email out. Take the quiz on some of the things you've learned today and answer like 5 questions. and answer the questions, and we'll send you out a personalized certificate for attending today. So we appreciate you taking the time to do that.
So the last little touch I'm going to add to this design, and clear off my mess here, is grevillea foliage, which is another light, airy, textural finishing, and it's not going to take a lot. So we're just going to tuck in some here in the back. We'll tuck in some through it. Grevillea has that serrated edge. It's just beautiful, textural. Might have some that'll play here in the middle. Maybe, if I can find, maybe. We'll put that right there. And that just gives us, we're starting to get a really nice low visual interest right in the middle, kind of that little focal area, but so much texture. So I'm not ignoring my design principles and elements when I create a design like this. They're all still there. It's just, it looks more effortless. So let's see what else I need. And if you look at the back side of this, you could see, again, some spaces.
Right.
But I don't need to fill in because what those spaces do, I'll turn this around a little bit. What those spaces do is actually give me really great depth right there. So it's creating a depth in the design that I wouldn't necessarily have if I loaded that up with product to try to cover up my foam as a mechanic. So it's not intentional that I leave it there to show, but I don't see it, so I'm not gonna cover it up. Okay, we'll put this little bit right here, and I think we're close to a finished design.
Yeah, it's looking great.
Light, open, and airy, so traditional color palette, but a little bit different, freer form design style.
It's beautiful. It's very, like I said, it's fresh, it's modern, and it's not the traditional Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And we will be having another OASIS University right before Valentine's Day, but we just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of inspiration as you start your planning, or as you're planning now for Valentine's Day. So yeah, I think we're about done with our designs.
Yes.
So I just wondered if we had any questions from the audience. We can definitely take some time to answer those. We've got a couple minutes. And we have Seth behind the video here, if there's any questions for us.
Yes. Do the Gerberas have support?
Okay, so do the Gerberas have support?
No, great question.
So one of the truly amazing things about Max Life Foam is its support of Gerber daisies. Of course, you're going to start with fresh product. You're going to hydrate those in properly mixed flower food water. But what I found, and this was the initial testing when we first got a hold of Max Life Foam, and that's only Smithers Oasis, it actually helps those Gerber daisies stand up straight and tall. Of course, start with fresh product, but there is something about the Max Life Foam with Gerber daisies and Max Life Foam that really enhances. They love the Max Life Foam. So no, I didn't have any wiring or taping involved with any of my Gerber daisies. These are fantastic, very healthy, strong stemmed Gerber daisies, and I feel very confident, even more so confident when I'm inserting them into the Max Life Foam because they hold up beautifully, absolutely beautifully.
Great. Good question. Thank you. Seth, any other questions?
I think you've mentioned this, but I've seen your ad saying that OASIS Midnight is quote unquote free. Can you explain that?
So
Yes.
it's like it's free.
It's like it's free.
It's like it's free.
Yes.
So it's not technically free. You do have to buy it, but because it saves time, absolutely saves time, and saves product or materials, it takes less to cover. It is in essence like getting the foam free.
Right. Exactly.
So
Yes.
when we first got a hold of Midnight Floral Foam and we were doing a big event, and
Yes.
we designed around the table production style like we often do, and we had grande bricks of Midnight Floral Foam and tons of roses and hydrangea in the floral foam. And when we got done with all of the product, we still had more product that we could have added to it, and we're in the menu,
Right.
Foliage
Right.
that was in the menu, but we found we
Didn't
didn't need nearly as much foliage as we had menued out, because I didn't have to take the additional time to cover it or the additional product to cover it. So in that way, yes, it's like getting free foam.
Great.
Last one. I got Midnight from my wholesaler and there was black tape on it. Is this on all the bricks? I love the free tape.
Well, yes, so we have a promotion running now, and it's through this month. And if your wholesaler has ordered the floral, the Midnight Foam, they receive the free tape on the boxes. So we've taped thousands of boxes. So keep an eye out for for the free tape at your wholesaler. So it's a promotion that we're running right now. I would love for you to try the Midnight tape, and especially in conjunction with the Midnight Foam, it works perfectly. So thank you.
So that was one of the biggest requests when Midnight Floral Foam first came out, is for the Midnight tape. And it really proved its point. I was doing a big scale design, and I taped in it was when Midnight first came out, I taped in my brick of foam into my Loann tray. And the only thing we had at the time was the green anchor tape. And it was the first really light bulb moment for me, because I could have been done with the design, but I could still see that green tape.
Right.
The Midnight Foam had
It's
disappeared.
Right.
But the green tape I could still see. So that was the first, oh my goodness, we need Midnight tape. So so excited that we have the Midnight tape with the Midnight Foam.
Absolutely. So check with your wholesaler or visit us online at oasisfloralproducts.com, and you can find additional information there, or again, check with your wholesaler. Yeah, great. So any more questions? We're all set? Well, we really appreciate everyone taking their time today to be with us for this installment of OASIS University. We will be following up with an email, and in the email, as I mentioned, the quiz will be on there, so you want to fill that out. And then also just some behind the scenes footage, some close-ups, and then again, of course, that how to make a boxwood tree. So Loann has done that as a little side project here, so you want to definitely take a look at that. So keep an eye out for your email, and you should be receiving that from us tomorrow.
So this has been a ton of fun.
It has been. We've
so
tag
excited.
teamed, so it was kind of our first live together, and our live event. We're usually behind a PowerPoint presentation, and so this was a lot of fun to do it live, and hopefully more to come. So
sounds good.
yes, so again, happy holidays from all of us at Smithers Oasis, and we hope everyone has an amazing holiday season. Take care until next time.